Ponas Jaime Sempere, CYPE Tarptautinių pardavimų direktorius.
Hello, thank you everyone for having me here. Unfortunately, I'm gonna speak English. So anyways, thank you so much. My name's Jaime. I'm coming from Spain, from CYPE Software. And we are an open BIM solution for the AEC sector. And I'm gonna try to show you a little bit today of what we can offer you, okay? First of all, I think that it's always very important when we're dealing with this type of solutions is why? Why should I adopt this? What is the reason? Okay, why can I just not continue working in CAD, in plans, the regular way? Well, after I go through this, I'm going to tell you what my background was and how I could have benefited from BIM many years back. Unfortunately, I didn't. But let's go through these and let's see if we all agree, because this, I think, is pretty much at an international level. The reason why we want to enter an open BIM workflow is probably going to be for three reasons. One of them, we might want to be nice to the environment. We want to be friendly to the environment. Our kids are probably telling us, Mommy, Daddy, you got to be nice to the environment. But at the end of the day, that for us doesn't really matter. Sometimes it does. Other one is going to be government regulation. At the end of the day, government regulation is probably what's going to make everybody adopt open BIM. That's normally the way it works. We don't like to do things until we're forced to do this. And if we don't enter this workflow earlier, when this becomes mandatory, it's very difficult to adapt. And lastly, and what I think is most important, and probably what took me out of the construction industry many years back, is savings and wellness. It's not about how much money you save, it's about how much time you have to do things with that money. Because you see, we only live once, and if you make a lot of money, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a U-Haul truck behind the hearse, but I still haven't, so you can't take it with you. You need to enjoy it while you're here. So that for me, and I think in general, are the three main reasons to adopt one of these. Now, obviously, environment-wise, we have to look at three things. There was an actual study done by the National Institute of Standards and Technology in the United States, and if the construction industry would have just dropped paper for 1 year in the United States, it would have saved billions of dollars. This is just one country, okay? So obviously, it's still a very paper-based sector, and we're obviously affecting the environment in this way. Second, mistakes in the construction industry are they affect the environment very heavily. We have to understand how difficult it is to take down a structure and to be able to dump all that, whatever you've generated when it comes to waste, and start over a project. So mistakes are very costly and they can generate incredible amounts of CO2 emissions. And secondly, in open BIM, you're able to fully take advantage of what Mother Nature has to offer. And what I mean is, like, when you visually take a look at a project, a few degrees in your coordinates might be a difference in massive savings in energy in the future. So if you're able to do this and simulate the location of your building in different stages, you're able to save a lot of money. You're also able to take advantage. Now, second, and probably the most important and why everybody will eventually adopt BIM is government, okay? We know that soon it's gonna be mandatory, it's gonna be law. I don't know why. I don't know if it's that the government wants to know what we're doing, like Big Brother, but yeah, that probably is true. That's probably why. Secondly, we're gonna need to be using a common file, because there's so many files out there in the industry, but right now, the industry foundation classes, IFC, is really the strongest file right now that everybody is using, and it's the most commonly used file worldwide in the construction industry, okay? And lastly, obviously the idea is smart cities. Smart cities, we want to be very smart, we want to know what's going on, we want to know what building needs more energy, which one needs less energy, and eventually we're all going to have chips inside us as well when we come into phase 7, smart cities, and that's the idea. That's what government wants to do. They want to be able to control everything. But let me tell you that I was a general contractor for 15 years in the United States. I built over 150 structures in South Florida, and if I would have taken advantage of this you don't know how many headaches I would have saved, because when you're working in BIM, you're automatically doing a paper trail of everything and anything happening in your project. And I don't know if you know other general contractors, but normally that's a little difficult to do. So anything that happens in a project, you're going to have that information, if you're working in an open BIM workflow, stored for you automatically. Now the other one, and the one that I say is most important, is this. You need to save not just money, but you also save time, because open BIM or BIM allows you to not have to redo things. You're able to take advantage of your geometric model. You're able to take advantage of that structure model or any model that you have already designed, to be able to design other parts of the project as well. So you're not just saving money, but you're also saving time. Next, we're going to need to comply with the laws. So obviously it's mandatory that we're going to have to do it. And lastly, we've noticed now with the pandemic, actually our business, our company in Spain, increased sales dramatically during the pandemic. Why? Because people were able to work remotely with our software. And the other thing is that they were able to take a lot more time for themselves and not have to be all the time just going into the office. We noticed how much time is lost by just going into an office and saying hello to everybody. Let's have a little bit of coffee. Let's talk a little bit about what we did this weekend. That's a lot of lost time for contractors, and it's a lot of lost time for professionals. Working sometimes from home is going to be a lot more efficient than working actually in an office. So now we offer two things. CYPE has programs, okay, which is what we've developed for you to design, analyze, and even simulate MEP situations, okay? But we offer one more thing. In all our software, sometimes you speak with people and you tell them BIM, open BIM. They ask you, where do I buy this program? What is the BIM? Most of you obviously know, as professionals, this is a workflow. Our programs are generating this workflow automatically. You don't have to do anything. It's up to you if you want to enter a BIM workflow. It's really not anything that's mandatory. So in our way of developing software, what we've done is a little bit different to your regular BIM solutions out there. All of our programs, they are separate federated files. So you're able to work simultaneously in the projects. Once you've designed, let's say, the architectural model, you're able to share that geometric model with all the other disciplines, and you can have the structure developing a structural model, the plumber developing a plumbing model, the HVAC developing an HVAC model, and so forth at the same time, okay? Because they're all basing themselves off the same geometry. And the great thing, what happens is that when you're linked to that architectural model, if a change happens, once I go back into my project and I relink to my architectural model, I will be notified of changes that I need to do. So let's look a little bit deeper into this. We see this picture, and this is why what really sets us apart, because if you go into our website, you look at this picture and you think, why? What is the reason for this picture? Well, it's exactly what I'm telling you. CYPE doesn't force you to do everything in our software. We're even interoperable with most software. That's why it's open BIM. That's what the big difference between open BIM is to just regular BIM. There's always ways to get a file from one software to another. There's many plugins, there's many things. The problem is that information is lost. So the less amount of times you have to go from one modeler to another or from one program to another, the best. So what we offer is we let you pick and choose and customize your project with the tools that you need from us, and not force anybody to use additional tools that you don't need, okay? As you can see, they are all federated files that they overlap each other in BIM Server Center. So if somebody designed a structure, for example, in our model, now I can share this structure with other people, and now they can start designing the plumbing, they can start designing pretty much any part of the project. And since all of these files are linked at one point, you're able to also run automatic clash detection, okay? And like I said, the project can be just architecture and plumbing, or it could be just architecture and structure. The structure can be done by somebody else, or the plumbing can be done by somebody else, etc. We don't force the workflow. And the reason why is because we are focused on using federated files. The owner of each file is the only one that is able to make any changes. You share your file in BIM Server Center of your results, but the actual formulas, the details, etc., everything stays in your computer. So you see, each of these files is owned by different people and nobody can change them. So this is a different method of working, but the great thing is that your model is automatically being updated. You don't need to wait till certain things are done and then once a week or twice a week update your BIM model. Your BIM model is automatically updated at any change by just clicking an update button that is available in our programs. And like I said, it's a way of working that there's many, many different solutions that you're able to add to your program, okay? Now, we have several solutions that we offer. We actually have over 150 programs that we've developed, but they pretty much add up to 4 things. We have programs for architecture, programs for MEP, programs for structures, and programs for project management. Now, our architectural software, believe it or not, is free. It's 100% free. Now, people might wonder, why? Are these guys making a lot of money? Are they actually trying to clean money? I don't know. What are they doing? Well, this is a way for those, because in all of our software, you're able to work off a 2D drawing. You're able to import a 2D drawing, and you're able to start designing. But what about if you want to take advantage of OpenBIM? And how? Take advantage in which way? Well, if I use my architectural modeler and I start designing a building, I'm able to enter columns, I'm able to enter beams, I'm able to enter walls. So when I design this, the guy that has to do the structure, he just has to press a button, and maybe 70% of that structure is automatically already suggested by the program based on this design. Now, a lot of you might be saying, well, I've never heard of CYPE architecture. I've never used this. I use Revit. Not a problem. We have a plugin for you to bring that architectural model from Revit, from Allplan. Like I said, we never force the way of working to customers. We always allow people to use whichever tools they feel more comfortable with. And if all that they need from us is an HVAC model or an energy analysis model, that's fine. When it comes to structures, our company started 39 years ago. It was actually started by structural engineers. So that is really our bread and butter. And we have some very powerful solutions for you to be able to do all of your structural design and analysis for reinforced concrete, for steel, and not just reinforced concrete and steel, but also timber, composite structures, and you're also able to combine structures as well. As you can see, we can also do a lot of detailing, as in doing all of the rebar detailing of the building. We are also able to do a lot of different things in structures, such as connections, okay? We have a program, in addition to being able to design reinforced concrete, we have a program that it uses the finite element analysis engine from the University of Berkeley in California called OpenSeas. And this program uses the OpenSeas to analyze complex steel connections. In most projects, I think that connections are pretty much all of them complex. You might have a few basic connections, but at the end of the day, there's always a complex connection. With this, you're able to calculate this entire connection, and you're able to do a finite element analysis, okay? Not just steel to timber, and steel to concrete. And then you will see here in the background that we have another program that then you are able to send that information to it, and you can generate all of your assembly drawings for steel buildings, not just the structure, but also the bolts, the plates, pretty much everything, okay? So if you need to do an analysis, you're able to analyze it, but if all you need to do is send this for designing, for manufacturing, you can also enter the information that you are common to using and generate a file. Now we're able to send this information always in our programs. We're able to generate plans or drawings, but we're also able to generate step files or DSTV files to send all of this steel building for manufacturing as well, okay? Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, okay? Even though I think it was already interesting, but we're used to talking about architecture and structures only when it comes to BIM, but there's a lot more than you can do. We have programs that you could calculate your thermal analysis, and you're able to do energy simulations. Our software uses a very powerful engines, not just for structural analysis, but also for energy. We actually use the ASHRA radian time series to calculate the thermal loads of the building, both heating and cooling loads. We also use the Energy Plus engine to do energy simulations of buildings previous to construction to make sure you meet the needs, your highest demand. And then let's say that you have a building that you want to improve the energy. We also have a program that uses Energy Plus that you're able to improve the energy. And yes, this same information can be shared into a BIM project, okay? And I didn't talk about acoustic analysis, but we can also do the acoustic analysis as well, okay? Now, these steps, like the thermal loads and the energy, are important for you to continue on in certain parts of your MEP project, such as the HVAC. You need to know what are your heating and what are your cooling loads for you to be able to design your HVAC systems. And we also are able to do that. We're able to design not just the HVAC systems, but also all of the wet systems in the building, okay, and the electrical systems. For example, we have a program here which is a plumbing design, which in reality should be a hydraulic design. This program uses the EPINAT engine to run the analysis of the hydraulic analysis. And it does all of the common friction loss factors and different formulas that you analyze. And the results, when you design this, you're not just going to send the 3D model to BIM Server Center or to your CDE platform. You're going to send that, the plans, and any relevant information that will be needed in the project, okay? So it's not just about looking at a pretty 3D model. It's about having a 3D model, having the drawings, and having any essential information that will be needed. We also have very interesting programs to design your electrical installations, okay? In addition to photovoltaic installations as well. These programs use the Radiance engine, which is another very reputable engine for electrical design from the United States to run analysis, okay? And again, all of our programs, they're not a black box. Anything that you do in them, there is a point where you can check the results, you're able to view the formulas that the program has used, and you're able to take a pen and paper, if you'd like, and check to see if the calculation has been done properly. When it comes to fire protection, we have a very interesting solution as well. And one thing that I didn't mention in our wet system solutions, many of you might be working in other modelers. Just to give an example, maybe Revit. So one of the things that you can do with this, with our MEP solutions to be able to save time and money is that you're able to import, let's say a model from Revit. You're able to design your fire protection with our software. You're able to do the analysis, you're able to run all the analysis that you need. This program actually uses the NFPA 13 and 14 standards to run fire protection analysis. And then once you're done, you're able to send back that information to Revit, and you're able to not just send back the details, but also the 3D model, okay? And this can happen in all of our MEP solutions. I spoke already about HVAC. But actually my slides are not in the order that I thought, but this is good because I'm able to show you, you'll see that in our programs, we're generating plans. Well, they're not the perfect drawings for you to use. You know, sometimes these drawings are not exactly what one wants for a project. In the United States, for example, I cannot use these drawings, but I can get this information and I can send it to AutoCAD and I can detail it. You know, unfortunately, there's so many different ways of setting up plans in so many different parts of the world that as software developers, we're not able to do every single way of of layouts. But we do have methods where you're able to adapt this to your needs, okay? And then lastly, I mentioned we have 4 solutions: architecture, structures, MEP, and project management. And project management is very interesting because I'm not sure if some of you knew that you're able to do a bill of quantities in BIM as well. And what are the advantages of this? Well, if I import a BIM project, like you see here at the bottom, I'm able to recognize and extract all of the quantities, not just the project that's coming from CYPE, a project that's coming from any modeler. I can bring the architectural model in, and by a plugin that we have, we're able to map the information, and then we're able to identify the quantities of the entire project, okay? This is very useful for certain companies that use this program. Why? Because if they send you a new BIM model, you know, it's not common for architects to change things. They always change things. So every morning when you're working in construction, you could probably expect some sort of change in the morning on your PC. So with this, you're able to load the new model, update, and it will update the quantities like this. It's very simple, okay? Now, just to sum up what CYPE offers, in all the programs that we develop, we offer obviously a 3D model with information. You can obviously click on any part of the model and it will tell you what it is. That's obviously what BIM is. If you don't have information in the model, it's really worthless. We also are going to be able to show you many results, and not just numbers, but also, as you can see on the top right, let me try that little clicker. Well, it doesn't work. You can also see visual results. That, for example, is a contour plot of the forces in a floor, okay? But next to it, you could see that you have all of the formulas and all of the different checks that have been done by the program, and you have there the formulas in case you need to pull a pen and paper and check it. And then lastly, as you can see here at the bottom, this is the type of information that we're generating in our MEP software, okay? We get our peak heating loads, the peak cooling loads, etc. And then from that point, we could continue to design the rest of the project. We also generate plans, as you see in the whole MEP part, but we also generate plans for steel detailing, okay? You could generate all of the plans of your connections. You could generate the plans for your structures as well. And you can send these plans in a file for fabrication as well, particularly the connection software, okay? And also, all of our programs are able to generate a bill of quantity. The bill of quantity can be only of architecture. It could be of architecture and structures. It could be everything, including MEP, or it could just be separate MEP solutions. And as you can see in this image, in these parts that are orange, okay, it's recognizing these measurements. And as you can see here in this particular bill of quantities, we're able to generate a bill of quantities with just 3 things. We need a BIM model, a cost database that you can load, or there's some that are already available in the program, and 3, you need a set of measurement rules, a sort of recipe that you got to tell the program how you want it to interpret each of the things. So those 4 things are available in all of our software: the 3D model, plans, reports, and bill of quantities. Now, this is some of the companies that have used our software or currently use our software throughout the world. Some of them, they work in many parts of the world. They're originally from Spain. And speaking with some of them, like for example, I was speaking with one of the head guys of Ferrovial, he mentioned to me, he goes, Jaime, look, CYPE, I'm really happy with CYPE. I do maybe 80% of my projects with CYPE. And those 20% of the projects that I can't do with CYPE, I have one guy that's able to take care of it for me. But why? Sometimes we buy software that it's more than we need. It's more than we need, and we're spending too much money on programs, and we're using, I don't know, 20% of them only, okay? So this is just to give you an idea of what other people in the industry are thinking, okay? And also, we are developers of OpenBIM software. Is probably one of the most well-known companies to develop this type of software. And this is just a small list of some of the companies that we develop software for. In particular, in all these cases, it's going to be MEP solutions most of the times. But we have developed a lot of programs for other parts of the building sector as well. Okay? Just so that you have an idea of the type of power for our programs. I don't know if any of you have been to Spain. If not, I highly recommend you visit one day Alicante. It's a very nice city on the coast of Spain. And actually, I don't know if any of you know a little fact about Alicante. There's a city in Alicante called Benidorm, and this city actually is the city with the most high-rises per capita in the world, even more than New York, okay? So it was a city that is maybe 30 minutes away from our head office, that it boomed really heavily in the 80s, and now it's full of high-rises. This one in particular is the tallest building in Europe, because we're not counting England anymore. They're out of Europe, so we don't have to include any other things. But this is the tallest residential building in all Europe, 650 feet. And it was all done and calculated with CYPE, everything, okay? This is just so that you have a little bit of an idea of what we do, okay? Now, one of the ways I like to show everybody what BIM Server Center is, and this is probably the way that people understand, what we can do, okay, is, I don't know if any of you ever saw a show, I don't know, like, I can't really see the ages, but in the US, they used to show a lot this show called the Power Rangers. And the Power Rangers, it was like a show about these little superheroes. They all had their special powers, they all did a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the show, when there was a big problem, they would all come together as one and be like a superhero. So you see, that's the way of how I would describe to you BIM Server Center. With BIM Server Center, you're able to get the tools that you need, no more. Why buy more? I don't buy more food at the supermarket and throw it in the garbage. I just get what I need and I create my own superhero, okay? And that's pretty much what we can offer you. I hope that you understand it, and I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much.